Servicemen sent to stem the impeding influence of the zone. Stalkers privately contracted to assist with reconnaissance and operations. Special forces dealing in the retrieval of vital information and securing of locations across the zone. The Ukrainian State Security Service holds a unique position within the enigma that is the zone. The military would have always had a role monitoring the Chernobyl exclusion zone, but the military we know of currently came due to the zone's inception and the events that followed. After the first and second emissions, the military's power and position within the zone changed drastically. The growth of progressively more and more dangerous anomalies and mutant wildlife saw the military's grasp of the zone's interior slip, with them gradually shrinking to the force that we know of currently, undermanned and at constant odds with the zone. Now only maintaining the perimeter of the zone and holding on to a few key locations enclave deeper into the zone, the Ukrainian military has serious troubles controlling it, let alone the various factions of stalkers that live and thrive within. With the initial intent to protect those nearby from the zone, this moral imperative quickly degraded over time as stalkers sneaking into the zone refused to heed this warning. The military's behaviour changed to a shoot-on-sight policy eventually, yet despite this, low morale and wages led to many military personnel resorting to making deals with the zone's factions. Starting off in Clear Sky, the military is at its most powerful and assertive position within the zone. When you first enter the cordon from the Great Swamp, you step into the midst of an ongoing conflict between Valerian's loners and Major Koletsky's forces. I've already covered this story in my loner lore video, but this event showed us that the military is both capable of taking bribes as well as double-crossing factions. Much of the military's forces in the cordon during the events of Clear Sky is a Spetsnaz platoon aided by regular grunts, whilst in Shadow of Chernobyl it becomes downgraded to be the opposite. Further throughout Clear Sky, you proceed to mostly only encounter Spetsnaz and military stalkers past the cordon, a sign that at this time, the military's operations within the zone were highly specialised and costly missions in terms of time, finances and manpower. When you come across the army warehouses, named for obvious reasons, you come across what used to be the military's main base within the zone. Now littered with mutants, dead and zombified Spetsnaz and military stalkers, it shows that even with their guns, numbers and organisation, they're still subject to the horrors of the zone. Yet there are still some military personnel trapped inside their old base, which were eventually all overrun by nearby freedomers wanting to claim the base as their own. In Yantar, for both Clear Sky and Shadow of Chernobyl, the military personnel have fallen victim to nearby Sire missions and have become zombified. The last time you'll come across the military in Clear Sky is another sizable detachment of Spetsnaz and military stalkers in Limansk. They're holding out to prevent the various factions of the zone from swarming to the CMPP through this area. As we transition to Shadow of Chernobyl, we get to see the military a bit more battered. They went from trying to maintain some key areas in Clear Sky to becoming more sparing with their incursions, although still largely being unsuccessful due to the hostility of the zone and the exploits of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. You will notice their presence in the cordon is downscaled. There's less Spetsnaz and more grunts. The military would have likely decided that they really didn't need too much of a presence in the cordon, especially since Father Valerian's group of loners is gone. The cordon is relatively quiet and less dangerous for headquarters compared to the rest of the zone. Yet there's still those three soldiers you often see patrolling the main road of the cordon. They don't patrol too far, but if you, as the Marked One, choose to engage them, it can result in some ramifications. There's also Major Kuznetsov, the officer guarding the passage through the railway bridge who you can bribe. Killing him, although useful in the early game for passage and good guns, results in a squad being replaced with a group of Spetsnaz who are outright hostile and obviously won't accept bribes like he did. Even though they act a fair bit more isolated in Shadow of Chernobyl, they still deem it worthwhile to venture deeper within the zone. They conduct helicopter raids on both the Agroprom Institute and Dark Valley during the Marked One's travels, both due to the value of the documents within the area. Yet, their most daring raid in the zone was yet to come with the upcoming race for Pripyat. After the Marked One had disabled the Brain Scorcher, a multitude of factions rushed into Pripyat to reach the center first. Their presence is much more intense than their Limansk presence in Clear Sky, battling both the Monolith and S.T.A.L.K.E.R, yet they fail again. The military wouldn't make another attempt to reach the midst of the zone until Operation Fairway, the prelude to Call of Pripyat. With the military's failure towards the end of Shadow of Chernobyl and losing the majority of their contracted military stalkers, Operation Fairway was a plan using maps of anomalous fields, sending specially equipped transport helicopters to bring a combination of Spetsnaz and military stalkers deeper into the zone to prepare for a larger future incursion. Call of Pripyat starts with none of the helicopters having made it back, and you play as Diktarov, a major in the Ukrainian Security Service. Call of Pripyat is important for military lore as it's the only game in the trilogy where you have good relations with military personnel. Although many soldiers were sent into the zone, only few survived. Whilst relatively few died on impact, many of the soldiers were ill-equipped to face the horrors of the zone, dying to landmines, monolith, and mutants. The only soldier to survive and not be located at the laundromat within Pripyat is Senior Lieutenant Sokolov. Being one of the pilots to fly the specialized helicopters into Pripyat, he was the only one of his squad to survive. Being rescued by Gary, they became friends and can be found at the Yanov scientist bunker. He can also be recruited to accompany Diktarov through the Jupiter Underground. After reaching Pripyat, Diktarov meets up with the rest of the Operation Fairway unit. The commander of the operation is Colonel Kowalski. Kowalski serves to give you the remainder of the missions for Call of Pripyat, recovering a Gauss rifle, investigating missing squads, as well as the evacuation mission. With Operation Fairway being a failure, the last resort for the military is a full-blown retreat with guns blazing. The remaining survivors attempt an escape via helicopter after learning how to avoid the air anomalies from S.T.A.L.K.E.R, who bargains his information in return for a way out of the zone. What I like about this final mission is that its difficulty varies based on how much effort you've already taken against the monolith in Pripyat, as well as people dying during the evacuation finale affecting some of the ending outcome. How do you think the military would act post-Call of Pripyat, especially with S.T.A.L.K.E.R surviving and assisting them as an advisor? I feel if we had S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, the military would probably become a lot more important than they were in previous games, but we might never know what the Ukrainian government planned for the zone after learning more about the X-Labs and C consciousness. Next time I'll be doing freedom lore and then duty lore, and then I'm done with the faction lore for Stalker, which is the main kind of focus of the Stalker lore series. I'll be talking about some other stuff like anomalies and areas and mutants, but in between doing all of that, I'll be trying some maybe Fallout lore or Elder Scrolls lore or Deus Ex lore. I don't have a 100% idea yet, but if you got any suggestions, I'll be trying that stuff out. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, I recommend subscribing to know when I release more lore and other content. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to leave a comment if you have any suggestions or insightful comments. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.